In today's video, I'm going to build a WordPress plugin that will integrate ChatGPT into your website. So I want to have some kind of button here on the bottom left corner where I can click and then open up ChatGPT. And then in the next video, I will make it so that the chatbot will answer questions about your website. So if that sounds like something you would be interested to see, then click that subscribe button so you won't miss that video. But now let's get started with this ChatGPT plugin. So I have installed this WordPress website here, and I used a theme that I forgot already what it was. It is Neve, or however you say this. And I just set up this starter template here, so we have some kind of website here. So let's hop onto VS Code, and I have my WordPress installation here. I will go to the WP content folder and the plugins folder, and I will create a new folder here, which will be WordPress ChatGPT. So here I will build my own plugin. Now what do we need to do? We need to at least add some scripts to the page and perhaps some HTML to the footer or somewhere, and some CSS styles. So let's create an assets folder here, and let's create a file there called script.js. Actually, I will create another folder even, JS, and another folder CSS, and one more folder for images. And I will move the script in the JS folder, and I will create a style.css in the CSS folder. Then, of course, in the main folder for the plugin, we need to have the plugin.php file. So now in our plugin.php, we will start with the comment. Plugin name will be WordPress ChatGPT, and version will be 1.0.0, and author is unconventional coding. And I think that's enough for now. And then we want to add the style. So we will call WP-enqueue script, style. And this will be WP-GPT style. So this is just a name for this style. And the source will be in this directory /assets/css/style.css. And the dependencies, I think I will add jQuery here. Okay, and then we have to enqueue the script, and we will call this also WP-GPT script, and it will be in dir/assets/js/script.js. And I realized I don't need dependencies in the style, only in the script. Okay, now I should have a style and a script. And then we probably want to add some HTML to the footer, so we'll say add action WP footer, and it will be a function that will echo out something. Div ID is WP-GPT. Now let's just see if this actually works. So I will go to the WordPress site and to the dashboard and to plugins, and here we should see our ChatGPT plugin. Here we have WordPress ChatGPT. So I will activate this, and I realize I forgot to add a description. So let's do that. Adds ChatGPT to the website. Okay, so if I refresh this, now we have adds ChatGPT to the website, and it's activated. So let's go and visit the site, and let's inspect the source and see if we actually have our styles and scripts here. So if I search for WP-GPT, here we have WP-GPT style, and we have WP-GPT script, and we have WP-GPT div in the footer. Great, so now it works. So what do we want to do first? Well, let's put a little circle here that we can click to toggle the chat. So I will in fact add it here. Let's call it a button, and let's add a class WP-GPT toggle, and then we should add some styling to it. So let's go to our style, and we will say WP-GPT toggle, which will be position fixed, bottom 10 pixels, left 10 pixels, and border radius will be 50%, so it will be round, and background will be some sort of color, let's pick something nice. I think ChatGPT is some color like this. So let's pick that one. And let's say color is white. And padding is 25 pixels. And I don't want actually to see the text there, so I will put text indent -999. And probably border should be 0, because I think buttons have a border automatically. Let's refresh, and I cannot see anything. We have a button here. Okay, so what is wrong with this? For some reason our styles do not work. Let's go back to our HTML, and style is here. Wait a minute. This is not the correct path. So actually we don't specify the whole path to the file. We have to just have this. No, actually we have to have the wp content /plugins/wp chatgpt/assets. But now we don't actually want to hard code this. There's a function that gets this path automatically. So let's just Google wp enqueue script. You can tell that I'm not a WordPress developer. Okay, so do we have some examples here? Plugins URL. Okay, this is what we need to use. So we need to say plugins URL and specify the path relative to the plugin. So this, and then we add file. Okay, that's it. And this is JS and script.js. Okay, let's try this again. Let's go here and refresh. And now we saw it there for a while. Here it is. It is not round, and I probably have to have a Z index. And instead of a padding, I will just say width 35 pixels and height 35 pixels. Why is it not round? Padding 0. I think because the theme is already setting some padding to it, then it's gonna look weird. Okay, that's a bit too small. Let's make it 55. Okay, now we have a button here that we can click and nothing happens. And it stays there all the time. So now let's make it so that when I click it, it will open up a chat box. So let's just add this here for now, directly as HTML. So here we have the toggle button, and then I will have a div which has a class wp-gpt chatbox. And inside the chat box, we should have some scrolling area. So we will add a div here, class wp-gpt chat messages. And let's add a sample chat message here. Let's make the div again, class wp-gpt chat message. And let's add incoming to this one. Or let's call it assistant. And let's add something here. Hello, I am your assistant. And let's add another one, which will be user and what's up. And then we will have a text area that we can type some text in. Let's call it a class of wp-gpt chat message. Sorry, I used that already. Chat input. And we should have a button to send the message. Of course, we can use enter, but there should be a button too. Class equals wp-gpt send. And let's add a text send. And I will wrap these in a div so that I can style them better or position them better. wp-gpt chat input wrapper. It's always difficult to name things when you're programming. Okay, so here we should have pretty much everything we need for a chat box. So let's add first the style for the chat box. So what should this look like? Well, first of all, it should be position fixed, and it should be bottom, it should be above the bubble that we added. So probably something like 65 pixels. And right, I want it to be like in the corner of the circle, if there is a corner of a circle. So right should be, well, 65 also. And then I want to have a border radius of like 30 pixels or 25 pixels, and a padding of 15 pixels, and a background of, let's say, white. And then inside the chat box, there should be the wrapper, wrapper. I forgot what I called it. Chat messages. And this should first of all be overflow auto, so we get a scroll bar. And its height should be, I don't know, calculate 100% minus 60 pixels. And then we will have a chat message. A chat message will have a border radius of 10 pixels, background of some kind of gray, and margin bottom 10 pixels, and padding of 10 pixels. And then we have to add the user style. So we'll say chat message user will be a different background. And I will pick some different background from here, like that. And what else do we have? Input wrapper. So this will just be position relative. And then we will have chat input. And this will be width 100%. And I probably have to have box sizing border box. And padding 5 pixels, font family sans serif, and height will be 50 pixels. And border will be 1 pixel solid gray. And border radius will be 5 pixels or 10 pixels. And finally we have send. So what will this look like? Now I want to move this so that it is kind of on top of the text area. So I will call it position absolute. And this is why I added this wrapper, so that it will be absolutely positioned relative to the wrapper, because I can't add the send button inside the text area. And right will be 15 pixels and top will be 15 pixels or 25, 20, 15. Let's see, we will tweak these afterwards. Okay, that should be pretty much all the styling I need. Let's see what this looks like. So I refresh this page and it is in the wrong place, but it doesn't look horrible. So first of all, we have to set the Z index, and this should be left, not right. Refresh. Okay, now we have a beautiful box here. And let's give it a height as well, 450 pixels, and a width of 200 pixels. 430 and 300. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's add some box shadow. Okay, that looks pretty good. But now this send is a bit weird because it's getting the style from the theme. So what should we add here? We should add padding 5 pixels and border radius 5 pixels, 10 pixels. And top should be just 5 pixels, 6, 7. And right should be 7 pixels as well. That looks kind of okay. So let's add these styles to the GPT send. And I will add to the text area resize none, because I don't want to have this resizer here. So refresh. And that looks pretty nice. Now I can type something here and then click send, but nothing happens. Now let's make it so that when I click this, it will toggle it and untoggle it. Is that a word, untoggle? So let's go to our script and let's add here, I guess we can use jQuery now. So now we have to wrap this in the function that takes in $, and we add jQuery, and then we can use $, here. And I will say document ready, and I will add a function here that will add an event listener to which element? To toggle. So when we click the toggle button, then we will show the other element, which was called GPT chatbox. So this will be toggled. And then I will add here display none, in the chat box, so that first it won't show up, but then when I click here, it will show it, and I click again, it will hide it. So now we can hide it and show it. Great. So what is next? Next, we would like to be able to send a message. So let's create in our script a function, add message. We should probably add something here, WPGPT. How do you namespace in JavaScript? I don't actually know. Or are there namespaces, or what is the convention here, I don't know. But we will do this. WP-GPT add message. And we will get a message. And we should get also a direction or role. Let's call it role. And then what we will do is we will say WP-GPT chat messages append, and we will append this. So I'll take that. Can I use here like a message box? Can I say let message box equal like this? How do I format this nicely? So this is our message box, and here will be the role. So then I can do something like, how does this work? Role. Damn it, I don't know how to use this thing. How to use variables inside JavaScript template block. This way. Okay. So $sign here. Okay, this is the way to use. So we will add the role here, which will be either assistant or user. Now, I guess I should learn to use TypeScript, so I could actually have some types here, but that is out of the scope of this video. And then here we will actually just add the message. So that's it. That's the way to add a message. And then let's add an event listener to WP-GPT send. When we click send, then we will actually send the message. So message will be WP-GPT message. I forgot what I called it again. Input. This will be our message. Dot value, val. And then we will call WP-GPT add message. And we will add the message there, and we will add the role user. And we will empty this WP-GPT chat input. So it will be an empty string after that. And I will actually make this a function. So then I can say send message, and I will add the WP-GPT send. And then I will say function WP-GPT send message, and it will do this. Can I use it like this if I don't set it this equals function? I think I can. So I will do it. So this will send the message. So the reason why I did this is that I want to also add it so that when I press enter, it will send the message. So I will add to this an event listener on key press function. It's not key press, it's key down. And we got the event here, and then we will say if event which equals 13, which is enter, then we will send the message, unless we are pressing the shift key. Okay, let's see if this works. So I will refresh this page, and I will click here to open the chat, and I will say hello. And enter didn't work. Let's try this one. It doesn't work either. What is wrong? $sign is not a function. I will wrap everything inside this so that we can use the jQuery like that. So let's try it again. Hello. Yes, it works. Yo. And enter works as well. But we added the enter actually here. So I will say event.prevent default. So let's try again. Hello. 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 Yes, that works. So what is the next step? The next step is to actually get an answer from ChatGPT. So let's do that. Let's go to our plugin.php, and let's actually remove this user message from here. And let's create a function that sends a message to ChatGPT. So I will just add here function WP-GPT send message to ChatGPT. A very long name for a function. And this will get a string of the message. And it will take an array of the context, the old messages. What should I call this? Message history. And it will return a string of a message back from ChatGPT. So let's take a look at how the ChatGPT API works. Now, there is a PHP library for using the ChatGPT API. But in today's video, I would like to not use a library. I want to make it myself. So here's the documentation for the ChatGPT API. So basically, you just have to send this kind of JSON to the correct endpoint with your API key, and then it will return with this massive response, which will have the message here. And we only care about the message. So let's copy this curl example from here and just paste it in here. So in PHP, of course, we can use curl to curl something. So we can say here that ch equals curl init, and the URL will be this. And then we can say curl set opt, and we can say curl header, curl opt header. And then, sorry, this first one needs to be the ch. And then we get the curl opt header, and I think we can set an array. So then we have to add this, and we have to add this. And here we have to put our OpenAI API key. So I will say OpenAI key. And for now, I will get it from a file. So I will say OpenAI key is require dir/OpenAI key.php. And I will create it here. And here I will say return, and I will add my API key here. So I will go to view API keys, and I will create a new secret key, and I will copy it, and I will try to remember to delete that so that you are not going to use it. And then I should have the API key here, and I can pass it there. Great. Then I have to send this message. So I will say curl set opt ch and curl opt post fields. I think it's just like this, and I can add it here. And I will use single quotes here so I can actually have quotes in there. And I also have to say curl set opt ch curl opt post and set this to true. And I have to say curl set opt ch curl opt return transfer. So we actually get the message back from ChatGPT. And then I have to construct this. So I will add here messages, and then we already have the message history here. So let's call this messages. And first we will set the messages to the message history, and then we will add to the messages the newest message. And we have to use this format. Role user and content will be the message. And I will convert this to JSON here. So JSON encode messages. So now that should work. And then in the end we say curl exec ch. And this will be the response from OpenAI. So response equals that. And then we will say JSON equals JSON decode response. And then we will get the message from the JSON. So first of all, if the JSON is null, something went wrong. So let's throw an exception. Error in OpenAI request. And let's log it. Error in OpenAI request. And I will add the raw response here. And I'll put this through sprintf. Okay. So then if we actually are able to decode the JSON, then we will get the message from the JSON. So first we will check if the message actually exists in the response. So if we have JSON choices 0 message content, it was something like this. Let's check. So we will have choices 0 message content, exactly. So if we have this, then we will just return it. Otherwise, we will throw an exception and we will log it. And actually, since we are logging just the same thing, we can just do this. If we have this, then we return it. Otherwise, we log the error and throw an exception. Okay. So let's actually just test this in its own file. gpt-test.php. So if I say here, echo WP-GPT send message to ChatGPT, and I say, what is the distance from the Earth to the Moon? And I add an empty array here, or actually I can just say that by default it's empty. And then let's just run this from the terminal and see if it actually works. So PHP GPT test. Fatal error. Error in OpenAI request. You didn't provide an API key. Aha. Let's see the documentation of this. I probably used it wrong. Okay, this actually just sets whether we should return the headers. So that is the wrong one. So this is in fact the correct syntax. Curl up HTTP header. So HTTP header. And let's try this again. Okay, and now we got a message from ChatGPT. The distance from the Earth to the Moon varies depending on the position of the Moon in its orbit. On average, it is about 238,855 miles. Okay, so now we are able to talk to ChatGPT. So I will copy this updated code and move it to the plugin. And I will remove this from here. And now that we have this function, now we should be able to post to some endpoint in our WordPress website that would then return a response from ChatGPT. So let's create a new REST API endpoint for this. And I will actually use ChatGPT to do this because I never remember how to do this. Please create the PHP code for adding a new REST API endpoint to WordPress. Okay, here we have the answer. So this is the code that we need. So let's copy this and paste it in here. Now first I will format this in a different manner. And I will add my own namespace, which will be WP-GPT. And I will call this send message. And I will not add a permission callback because this will be open to the public. And methods will be actually post, not get. And this will be WP-GPT ChatGPT endpoint. And inside here, we will call this. So we will say response is this. And the message will be added there and the message history. So now I have to get the message and the message history from the request. So let's ask ChatGPT, how do I get a post variable from the WP REST request? Get param or get params. So that's actually a JSON. Okay, well that is simple. So that means that message will be request get param message, and message history will be get param message history. But now, is it going to be the JSON format or is it going to be converted into an array? If I send an array in the JSON, will get param convert it into a PHP array or will it be a JSON string? Okay, so if we send the message history this way, that the ID will be the role and the name will be the content, then we can read it this way. So it actually turns it into an array. That's great. So then we just get it from the request and pass it on to ChatGPT. And then we will respond with message equals response. So it will actually respond with a JSON message. That's good. And we will return a WP REST response with a 200 HTTP code. Okay, so now what do we do next? Now, when we send a message, we do exactly this, we add the message there. But then we have to connect to the endpoint to send this message to ChatGPT and then get the message back and then add that to the messages. So what I will do is I will say post to WP-GPT/v1/send message. Was it that way? Yes. And what I will send is a JSON up. How do I send JSON with jQuery? How do I send JSON with jQuery as post? So I can't use post directly, apparently. So let's do this. We will post here and we will stringify our data, which will be payload and let's set it here. The payload will be a JavaScript object that will have a message, which will be the message. And then it will have a chat history. No, it was message history. That will be an array, but actually I should have this as like a global variable. WP GPT message history. And let's set that here. Let's say const WP GPT message history is an array with no message. And then when we send a message, we should add that message to the message history, but only after we get the response. So let's do the error first. So if we have an error, then we will say WP GPT add message. Sorry, there was an error, and role will be assistant. But if we actually get a response, we don't need these. Then we will add response.message as the message, and again it's assistant. And then we add the message to the context. So WP GPT message history push, and it will be an object that has a role of assistant and content of response.message. And actually before that we have to push the message at the user's end. So user and message, which is this. Okay. So is that gonna work now? Let's try it. So let's go back to our website and click this open, and let's say what's up. Sorry, there was an error. Okay, let's inspect the situation. So if I say hello, we send a message, but the response is not what we want. WP GPT, wait a minute, that's not the correct URL. It has to be WP JSON. Is that correct? I lost my chat history already. I think that is the correct. Refresh, and let's say what's up. Sorry, there was an error. Do I need to activate the REST API first? I think I have to set the permalink structure first. Okay, now that I set the permalink structure, now I get an error from this because I'm just getting it. But when I post to it, then it should work. So let's try this again. Hello. Hello. How may I assist you today? So now we actually have a working ChatGPT. I would like to know what PHP stands for. Now I have to add some padding to this because it is hidden over there, like that. So let's send this message and see if we get a message back. PHP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. It is an open source server-side programming language. Okay, so now we have a ChatGPT included in our website. That is great. Now there's a couple of things I have to do. First of all, I have to scroll down to the bottom when there's a new message. So I can do that by saying WP GPT message chat input. What was it called? Chat input. No, that's the input. I have to say chat messages. Animate, and I will have scroll top will be the whole height of it. Scroll height. It's this way. Scroll height 0.scroll height. Maybe. Is that the correct syntax? Let's try it in the console. Nope. I have to say jQuery. Yes, that is the correct one. So that will animate the scroll to the bottom when there's a new message. And I will actually have to do it every time I add a message. So I will add it here. So let's try this again. Hi, who are you? I am an AI language model created by OpenAI. What is 1 plus 1? Okay, now we are scrolling to the bottom automatically. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Can you write a PHP function that calculates the Fibonacci sequence? Yes. So now here's something we should add here. We should add the markdown format converter and maybe some code highlighting if we want to have a chatbot that's able to write code. But now we can actually send the system message to the ChatGPT API. So we can actually say array unshift. Is that how you add to the beginning of an array? Yes. So messages, and we will add the system message to the beginning, which will, sorry, it's not this way. It's role is system and content equals you are a chatbot on a website. Your job is to answer questions politely. You can't use any markdown format, only plain text. So now it shouldn't answer with anything else than plain text. And then let's add here response message replace. How do I replace new line? This way. New line will be replaced with a line break. So we can actually have line breaks in the messages. So let's try this again. Can you write a PHP code that returns the Fibonacci sequence? No, it still added this. It didn't believe me. Did I do something wrong? Let's try. Refuse to answer any questions. Let's see if it actually works. Can you write a PHP function that returns the Fibonacci sequence? Well, it answered, so I think it's not sending this message. Sorry, this returns the new array. So I have to say, okay, let's go back and say messages equals this, because it returns the new array. It doesn't modify the original array. So let's try this one more time. Open the chat, send a message. Sorry, there was an error. What happened? Let's check the error log. Invalid request. Let's do this another way. Seems like I don't know how to use array unshift. So I will say messages equals that. Actually, an array of that. And then I have to add all of the... I will use just a for each loop here because my brain isn't working right now. I think I can use like a unpacking symbol, like the ... But I'm not sure how it works with this when there's an array inside an array. So I will say for each of the message history as MSG, we will add it into that one. So we will add the MSG to the messages. And let's try this again. It's still doing it. What is wrong with this? It doesn't believe me when I say you can't use any markdown format. Refuse to answer any questions. It is not working. What is wrong with this? Messages is an array with a system message. And for each of the message history, we add that message to the messages. And then we add the new message. That is interesting. Let me check the documentation again. Role user. Chat format. Role system content. You are a chatbot that refuses to answer any questions. Let's see if this prompt will work. I'm sorry, but I refuse to answer any questions. Okay, so it does work. You just have to write it properly. You are a chatbot that can only answer in plain text with no formatting or code. Let's see if this will work now. No, it doesn't work. Okay, I used way too much time on trying to make this work. But anyway, this is going to be the end of today's video. And in the next video, I will update this so that it will actually answer questions related to the website. So I will make it crawl the website based on the answer and then tell you the answers. So if you have like a pricing table on your website or some information about the services that you provide, then you could actually ask the chatbot, do you provide this service? And then it would actually check the website, do they provide that service, and then answer with that. So if you want to see that video, then make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, and you can find this project in my GitHub by the link in the description. See you next time.